Hello and welcome to our real thoughts on one. I'm sure you want to know our real thoughts on.
Nice to see you.
The Iceman Comet. If we do that, it's gonna
boy.
be nothing but ice puns. But that's what the movie was anyway.
That's ice.
My guess is actually this is gonna be a short video because
What's to talk about, really?
No, there's some stuff to talk about.
This is a bad movie.
Everyone thinks this is like the worst. Like whenever people ask what's the worst movie you've ever seen, they're always like, "Is it Batman Robin? Is it Batman Robin?"
Oh no, it's too funny for that.
Yeah, no, I don't even know if I put it in like the top 5. Honestly, it's one of those films where it's like
top 15 maybe.
It's
top
so
20.
it's so pathetic that it's hard to put it up in the top 5.
It's so crazy sometimes that there is just sort of a you just throw your hands up in the air and what the fuck am I watching kind of quality to it that it sometimes at least it's kind of interesting. Like it's like watching a train wreck. You can't quite look away. Like
it's a fascinating. This really is one of the few times where it's like with every movie, it's like okay, they weren't keeping track or didn't keep an eye or something like that. But this is one of those where it's like apart from visually, because visually it looks very nice. It's not. I'd argue it's not Batman, but it looks very nice. You know, how could anyone read this dialogue and look at these lines, whatever, and be like, how could you not see? And this is like...
Fill me up, Uncle Alfred.
Well, I mean, and this is one of those where it's like the only thing I can gather that I think people have just sort of come to a conclusion about is that they just want to make a big screen, big budget version of the Adam West show.
But the reason the Adam West show works is because it's not big screen and not big budget. Even the quote-unquote Batman movie they did with Adam West was not big budget.
Yeah, no, and it's fascinating because it's like, it's one thing if you know you want to make it, like, Batman Forever, you know, it made more money than Batman Returns. It was definitely lighter and, you know, hey, let's just entertain, whatever. And I think... You know, when we saw, like, when we saw Batman, the Tim Burton Batman, and then Batman, the animated series come out, like, we grew up with the Adam West one, too, so we just, the superhero, bright, colorful, whatever, but then it's like the comics, the Tim Burton movie, and the animated series, where like, okay, this is what Batman is, like, this is dark, this is gritty, this is tough, but it's really creative, and it's really weird, and out there, and it's wonderful, so I get the feeling like when they did Batman Forever, they're like, okay, make it a lot more lighthearted because Batman Returns got a lot of parents angry. It didn't pull in quite the box office we wanted.
This is a fetish movie! And how? That's awesome.
I think like Batman Returns up to Batman and Robin, they're all fetish movies.
Well, that was the funny thing is, they were all fetish movies, it's just the other one appealed to the kids more. It's okay, because we dumbed it down.
Though you could argue like maybe the first Batman has like the clown fetish or what. Oh wait, is that fetish or a fear? Maybe both, the more I think about it, but he probably didn't get too much fetish out of that one. Fearish. Feartish. But yeah, so it's bizarre that I think because they saw with Batman Forever, okay, well, we're trying to do kind of half and half, kind of the seriousness because he's dealing with the loss of his parents and stuff, and we still got heavy shadows. But obviously the goofiness, we have Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones basically acting like Adam West villains. But they also had the Robin stuff to kind of offset. So, but when they saw that did better, they were like, okay, obviously we want the bright and colorful and more to the little kids, so let's make that kind of movie. That's the only logic I can put in my head, but I think... Maybe because they weren't with...
the point, it didn't even feel like a movie. It just felt like sell toys.
Yeah, no, and that's what they were saying too.
It's like, it literally just felt like, here's some toy ideas, write a movie around this.
Yeah, no,
that's all I could think of.
It was very much 80s cartoons, actually, because that's what a lot of it is.
And it looked like an 80s cartoon. It had those bright, weird magentas, purples, blues, and greens.
I think Schumacher was even saying that. Like, he was saying that the toy companies would come up and say, here's some of the toys we're putting together, work this into the movie. Here's a new suit we're working on for a toy, work that into the movie.
And make sure you have the nipples in the right...
So it's one of those things where it's like, it's on the one hand you just go, how could they not see it? But I say to myself, it could be very possible maybe they just like they're thinking of the Adam West one, and the people that were making this movie were obviously a lot older and they weren't seeing you know, the comics and the animated series, and the Burton one they just knew was dark, and the last Burton one that was dark didn't make money. So people don't want to see that, so let's make something bright and colorful. It just went full force.
I will say this. There is an interesting irony in both incarnations, the Burton one and the Schumacher one, which is this. The studios took a risk on both these guys, and the first round, each time it paid off. Batman paid off. Batman Forever paid off. When they then wrote the blank check and said, here, now it's your show, do whatever you want, that's when it blew up in their face. Because I will argue to this day, and this is partially why I do like Batman Returns so much, Batman to me is not a pure Tim Burton movie. It never was. It's very studio controlled. It's very... Batman Returns, though, is the more pure Tim Burton. I'm like, love it or hate it, that is pure Tim Burton what the fuck slathered all over the screen. And it's the same thing with Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. It's like, you know, Batman Forever more controlled and do this. And I know Tim Burton was producing, but, you know, he's like,
whatever, I got Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, and he's admitted that about production, too. Like, he produced Cabin Boy. Remember that?
All I know
he was just like, oh, I didn't care. I was doing Nightmare Before Christmas.
Chris Elliott came up to me and asked for a check, and I wrote it. Yeah. So it was a studio thing, and then, you know, the studio was like, yeah, make sure we get our McDonald's promotion, this and that, and then they make it can be dark but not too dark, and then Schumacher does this, but then it was a success. So write a blank check, make sure you incorporate all the toys, have fun, Joel. And then it blew up in their face again, and it's reviled now as one of the worst comic book movies of all time. Killed comic book movies for a while.
Which is so funny.
I mean, they were seen as, it's hilarious to think of this now, but after that movie came out, and there was like that good 2 or 3 year gap. Blade helped resurrect it, but I mean, it was just like, wow, we're done. We're never gonna see comic book movies again.
And when you did see them, they were awful. They were really bad because nobody put any effort into it.
Yeah, nobody put any effort. They just thought, well, be like Batman and Robin if we can sell some toys off this.
And we also got into the, I know we talk about whatever, the Man of Steel and Nolan stuff, but I mean, they were overly dark. They were trying to be really dull because nobody took comic books seriously after Batman and Robin. You know, they were all seen as kid stuff, so then all the comics and all the movies are trying to be really gritty and really dark, but there was no effort put into it. Nobody threw a lot of money at it or kept big watch out or understood it, so it was just kind of nonsense, and it was directionless.
Blade helped, and then you got a bunch of Blade clones where it was all of this late 90s.
And then you got X-Men help too, and then Spider-Man was the big holy shit.
Well, and let's be honest here, The Matrix. Between Blade and The Matrix, I think that signaled, okay, if you throw enough special effects and shit,
but it wasn't stylistic. That wasn't a comic book.
But then with X-Men and Spider-Man, you're right, it kicked back.
Well, Spider-Man especially. X-Men, again, was kind of on Blade level, where it's like, okay, maybe there's amazing. Spider-Man was like an explosion and said, okay, let's make more of these now. Let's really, really throw our money into this.
Yeah, this movie killed it for a while.
You know, it really did. And it's, I'm trying to think, because it's
not bad. See, here's my problem with it. I know some people are just like,
it's clearly not trying. Yeah, it's clearly not trying to be Batman.
But it's so funny. It's meant to be a comedy, and it's like, that's part of my problem. I don't find it that funny.
Yeah,
there's
not that funny.
So much money on the screen, and it's so expensive that it's not hilarious. To see that.
It is. We have Michael Gough. We have Pat Hingle. I mean, it's like these are the actors from the first Tim Burton Batman movie.
And I mean,
this is supposed to be canon.
We have George Clooney. We have Uma Thurman could act even back then. We knew that. Like we have George Clooney, who was a major actor even back then. You know, Chris O'Donnell is some pretty boy, but
But he did fine.
These were not lightweights.
Yeah.
So there was nothing in it made us... The only one that you would look at and be like, really, okay, maybe this will be funny, is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Who is the most entertaining part of the movie.
And he is the only one that legitimately... Uma Thurman's early stuff with... Clamp from Gremlins 2, the scientist.
He's great too.
He's great too, yeah. That character actor's amazing.
I'm afraid you'll have to die.
Oh, well, I don't like your tone.
No, it's like, I don't take rejection well. I'm afraid you'll have to die. Ah! He does like that high-pitched scream.
And he's so mad scientist-y. He's like Joseph Gordon-Levitt in frickin' G.I. Joe. He's so ridiculous. So that early stuff was good, but after that, when Uma Thurman becomes sexy, I'm just like, okay, she's hot to look at. That's it. It's just, there's nothing funny about her, really. It's just a Jessica Rabbit voice. Like, that's it.
Come up and see me sometime. I mean,
so, besides that, Schwarzenegger's the only one that legitimately makes me laugh. Like, and he's just great.
He's just doing his own thing. He's just like, I'm in a Batman film. I'm going to have fun. It just looks like he's having so much fun. He looks like a little kid that got thrown in like this gigantic Arnold Schwarzenegger suit. It's like, wee! Like, he is just having the time of his life.
He is the 80-ton gorilla in the room. It's just like, there's this fucking gorilla in the room and you don't know what the fuck it's gonna do, but if you just stay against the wall and watch, you may get a few good laughs out of it. And that's what he does. He's just... God, he's great.
He is. I mean, that's why I think people are like, how can you say they're great or any good? I think it's that even from a bad point of view or just a lame comedy standpoint, they're just so strange and so silly, but so into it.
And they're
so entertaining.
I think it may be too just because he's Austrian, and even though he'd been in the States forever, there's almost this foreign aspect to it. Like maybe he's not aware of how he should act in the absence of direction, maybe from Schumacher, but he's so on a different kind of almost crazy foreigner level of acting in that film versus, because the other people are almost, they're trying to take it seriously, except for maybe Uma Thurman, but everybody else is acting straight, and Schwarzenegger's like,
in my opinion, I think I think half the actors in Batman Forever thought they were making a real legit Batman movie, you know, like, Chris O'Donnell and Pat Hingle and stuff like that. But I think the other half thought
I think Nicole Kidman knew she was in a goofy movie.
Yeah, no, but I think the other half thought they were doing the Adam West show. Tommy Lee Jones had to know that.
Oh, Tommy Lee Jones is he's the Arnold Schwarzenegger of that film. Because he's just fucking nuts.
No, where with Batman and Robin, with the exception of maybe Chris O'Donnell, you know all the other actors are like, we're just doing the Adam West bit. Where everything's just gonna be over the top. And you look at
girl,
that
that's a very PC. No Batwoman or Bat person.
Yeah, Bat person. I love that. I mean, it's like you know that George Clooney is like, I'm just gonna be Adam West. Schwarzenegger is, I'm gonna be one of the crazy Batman villains. Yeah, I'm gonna be one of the crazy.
That must have been tough for him because that mask is tight. So
yeah, so the whole thing kind of
it must have like created ringing in his ears as he kept banging against the sides of the mask like boy yo yo yo.
No. It looks like he has some sort of medical problem because he's trying to swing his head, but the whole thing moves, so he just sort of looks like this.
I freeze, Batman.
So
those bobbleheads. But that's part of my problem. Is it? I don't know. What do you think? My issue with it is, you throw that much money on the big screen with a pedigree of Batman coming off of... I mean, even Batman Forever wasn't that silly.
It's pretty silly by Batman
standards, but not to this level.
Yeah,
so
correct.
You come off of the two Dark films, Batman Forever and Batman the Animated Series, still running at this time. Batman Beyond would come out after this or concurrent with this. I don't know, but... And then you get this, and so many millions of dollars spent on this. I just don't think it's funny. Like, you threw that much money and stuff into it. It's not funny, it's just dumb.
Yeah, it's one of those where you just look at it, it's like... But again, you could say the same thing about the Adam West Batman. I really think that's what they're looking at. They're looking at, well, this show ran for a long time. They even did a movie. It was a success. And hey, Batman Forever, they were lighter, and that got us more money. We got Jim Carrey as one of the villains. He's a big goofball.
The Adam West Batman, you can argue it's contrived. There are some people could argue it's dumb. They don't find it funny. But you weren't blowing the, GDP of all of Scandinavia on it. Like, that's one of those cases where I'm just like, couldn't that money have been put to better use then?
Well,
like,
and I think...
At least the Adam West show, if you don't like it, I mean, we do, was a cheap knockoff.
Well, no, that's why I think they're also obviously going for kids because, McDonald's and the toy companies, whatever, were, like, going full force in this. Where I heard with Batman Forever, like, Schumacher was saying, like, nobody wanted to make that movie. They got it made, but he's like, nobody was getting behind it because they were afraid of Batman Returns. And then after Forever was a hit, everyone got on board with Batman and Robin.
Well, and...
it really
I think that's the thing.
Horrible to say, you look at the chart, I mean, that really is kind of it.
And it's... For a cheap knock, like... The original Batman show was a cheap knockoff, but it was also free. You could just watch it on television.
Well, and it was funny.
Yeah, to throw down $10 and see millions of dollars blown on something like Batman and Robin, maybe that's just why I just don't find it that funny. It's too contrived, too expensive, and I think it's the only reason I think Schwarzenegger is the best thing in it is because there's almost a spontaneity to him. Everybody else is reading off the script. I'm sure Schwarzenegger's reading the script too, but everybody else seems bottled up, whereas Schwarzenegger just seems off the wall.
Soon
just
we will be in space. Your heart will please and beat no more.
Yeah, I mean,
what is he doing? It's so much fun.
So he's about the only thing, but yeah, I know some people who get it. I get that some people find it like, oh no, it's really funny. Like if you view it as a movie made for kids, I
like to think we treat our kids better.
Yeah, I wouldn't subject my kids to that. If I had kids, I would like... One of the reasons I don't have kids, actually, is because I don't want them to ever be exposed to Batman and Robin. Like, something out of 7, I don't want to bring them into a world where Batman and Robin exist.
Very smart, very smart. I should point out, by the way, because everybody's like, do you think Joe Schumacher is the biggest asshole and stuff like that? With all these directors, all these writers, I mean, all this stuff, I've never met any of these...
How can he...
No, but on top of that,
I think most people
like,
in that film have apologized for it.
I've never met these people. You haven't either. They could be very nice people. Every time I see him on an interview, he seems like the nicest guy. He seems like a very genuine, nice guy. And
he seems way nicer than other celebrities in interviews.
Yeah, no, and he also, he came out and very genuinely, like, heartfelt said, look, this is what I was trying to do. If you did not enjoy them, that's not what you're looking for, and you felt I did a real disservice to Batman, then I apologize. It was like, that was very nice. And honestly, I hate the film, but it's like, it feels weird when a director apologizes for making art. You know, it's like, I mean, yeah, I get the canon thing, I get this means a lot to us, and that we follow it, but it's still also just a movie. So it's like, I'm very half and half on it, but I lean more towards...
If he came out and said, I hate all comic book fans, I hate Batman,
yeah,
I want to run it into
fuck
the
you,
ground.
You're a dick, yeah.
Yeah. Then I would demand an apology from him and be like, wow, you're a douchebag, you know? That's why when David Goyer apologizes, I'm like, damn straight you should apologize, dick.
Yeah,
like,
but I mean, this is a guy who's trying to do what he thinks is service to Batman, and it clearly someone that didn't understand what was required, and it's like, you know, and it fucked up, but it's like, fair enough. And I feel weird when someone is doing something out of, you know, out of a good place and trying to do a service, and if it doesn't work... When it's
all said and done, who's really to blame? The fool or the fool who follows the fool? Who wrote him the check? That's the issue. I mean, you could look at Batman Forever, more so than even something like the first Batman, I think, and get an idea of where he would want to take it, and the studios wrote him the check, said, here, we want to sell a bunch of toys, we got deals left and right, all the toy makers are on board, yeah, do this. Handed it to this guy, you're gonna blame the guy now because he did what you wanted him to do? You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, a lot of these people, it's like, and even some of the people, like, we look up to as celebrities, for all we know, they could be dicks. Like, we have no idea.
I'll be honest, the vast majority of Joel Schumacher films don't appeal to me.
Yeah, I don't
But
really
he's had a couple. I love Falling Down. That movie's still amazing. You know, everybody has their one or a handful that still works. So I don't personally hate Joel Schumacher. I did for a while. I think in the same way a lot of people hated George Lucas immediately after Phantom Menace, but then, you know, I was also...
Yeah,
in 98, I was 19.
Yeah, you grow up.
So I had that teenage angst, and then, you know, I spent a couple years in college, and then you grow up, and you're just like, like,
kind of more
who
important
gives a
things
fuck?
going on, yeah.
Yeah,
so it's like, yeah, anyone that's like, do you hate that son of a bitch? It's like... Don't do that. You've never met these people. They could be very nice people. They could be dicks, too.
If they're actively trying to insult you as a moviegoer, and don't give me the, he did, he made Batman and Robin. No, I mean, if he is out there behind the scenes in interviews saying, I hate all comic book fans, I think Batman sucks, I think if you like Batman, you
then
suck.
it'd be called for.
Yeah, then, and there are writers and people out there who have done that, and those are the people I don't like. But Joel Schumacher, no, yes, he may have nearly destroyed comic book movies as we know it, but you know what? We're fine now, and maybe if he didn't do that, we wouldn't be where we are now with 1,001 Marvel movies and DC desperately trying to catch up. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah,
so comic book movies survived. They're doing just fine. Some people would argue there's way too many of them, in fact. So obviously he didn't kill it, and therefore I don't hate him.
And the one thing I do want to bring up, because I always feel bad for not... This is the one thing I feel really badly now, the review. Now, the review was back in the YouTube days. I'm not even sure if it's 10 minutes. You know, it's very short. But the one thing I really wish I brought up is that I really wish I said how impressive the sets are. Because even though they're silly, they're still impressive. And some of the angles are kind of fun. Yeah, it's actually a very it's actually a very technically impressive film. Like I could see it, like I could see this world in another movie, not Batman, but like in another movie, and it could be like really cool to look at.
It's very, I don't know what word you would use. Like, it's not my thing because it's too. Trying to search the thesaurus in my head.
You can't talk now.
I can't. Garish. It's very pinks and blues and magentas.
There's light shining, but I can see that like kind of in a crazy Terry Gilliam type world or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't. You know what it is? I didn't like the color scheme. I'm not a. It was very retina burning, and my version of Gotham is probably closer to the animated series or Nolan's or Burton's. It's not a bunch of pinks. I felt like I was at the Copacabana or something whenever I was in his Gotham, but it was still a technical achievement.
Yeah, but it's still impressive, and I do really feel bad when I don't acknowledge, like, hey, this actually visually is very interesting. But it was, as terrible and stupid as it is, it's like, it is still very visually interesting. Not Batman, but visually interesting.
And it did give us what could possibly be the creepiest Alfred moment ever, even trumping Michael Caine's, you know, frickin' war criminal, Alfred.
We burned down the forest.
I had to burn it all down. And that's when he's just like, I took the liberty of making the measurements myself, and I'm like, whoa! I'm like, when? When did you, oh my god, did he chloroform her? Was she asleep and he just sneaks in and like, you know, with the measuring tape, like, ooh, like, I was just like, oh my god, dirty old man.
It's like, turns out I'm not really your uncle. And he's like, that's why I don't have a British accent.
Fill me up, Uncle Alfred.
So
stupid.
That movie, like, I couldn't take Alicia Silverstone, like, even remotely seriously for a long time.
I couldn't even laugh at her. Like, she was just like...
she's the one that I never hated, and then that movie came out, though, and I'm like, oh, honey, I'm not going to be able to watch you in a movie for a long time, because I'm just going to keep seeing you.
Suit me up, Uncle Alfred.
See you in Scooby-Doo 2. So, yeah, trying to think much. Nothing much else, I guess. I know everyone wants me to do the bad credit card, but it's just actually that was the moment I remember seeing on the big screen. That was like the maybe we'll have like a search for a spy thing or something. But Batman, as of now, is officially dead. Like, you just killed Batman.
See,
like
that's
that is
the
what
funny
that
thing.
sort of said to me.
See, you weren't paying attention when you saw, because you liked Batman Forever better than Batman Returns.
No, when I was a kid, I liked Batman Forever.
You almost liked it better than Tim Burton's Batman, which is sacrilege for you to say now. Like, the very idea, like, would make you cringe.
I was a Jim Carrey-aholic. I was obsessed with Jim Carrey, and anything he did, I was like, you know, genius! Like,
Doug spent many nights talking out of his ass. He still does.
Now you just have that image in your head, like, shit, now I can't think of it.
I gotta stab myself in the eyes. What were we talking about?
I can't, now I'm just thinking about me talking out of my ass. Which is what I usually do anyway, but still. Okay, the Batman Forever, like,
the bad credit card. You so flipped out over that, and you were not paying attention in Batman Forever, because for me, that was the moment when I said Batman's dead, and when I'm just like, this film is never going to recover. Because early on in that movie, he's on the fucking cover of Time magazine. And I'm like, the credit card bothers you? The credit card, it could be a joke that only Bruce Wayne has in his Batman costume or whatever, but the time...
That's your explanation of it. You never know, might need a bat pun.
Whatever, he's a billionaire, he can do what he wants, but...
He showed up to an event too, a public event.
And he shows up to a public event, but still, to me, the Time magazine thing is the worst, because that means he had to, at some point, they said, we're gonna do an article on Batman. Do you think you can show up?
Yes, get my bat side.
He shows up, stands there, somebody takes a picture of him, and he's on the cover, and I'm just like, ooh, mystery man, great disguise, like, you're on a cover of a magazine.
I get the feeling
that's what ruined it for for me, and I'm just like, that was my moron. No! Does not compute! Does not compute!
You could argue that maybe they just took the pictures while he was running around fighting crime, but it is kind of
How?
like...
He was smiling! He paused for... Was he holding some crony? He was like...
No, it could be. He's just really full of himself. I will stop you here. Hold on a second.
Hey.
Okay, I will stop you.
He did like a little bat nod, just... Hey.
Yeah, because it's not just one picture. Like, there's a scene where Nicole Kidman has like a ton of pictures. And it's like, these are photo shoot quality
only works if you're Lego Batman. Only Lego Batman would be that egotistical to do that. So that, I get you didn't like the bad credit card, but I just remember you were so upset over it. When we were watching it together for the NC, I'm like, I don't know why this upset you. He was on the cover of Time magazine and Batman Forever. That's even weirder if you ask me.
So yeah, that's about all we gotta say about it. Still stupid, still dumb. I mean, maybe because the Nolan Batmans have come out and Batman still lives on, the character is just so good, it's not like quite the heart stab.
Time heals all wounds.
Yeah, so yeah, that's about it, and we will see you at the next one. Take care. Ooh, good time.
Done?
Yeah.